Good morning, this is Kelly Hobart from Alpaca Direct, and it's so nice to have you here on Facebook Live with us today. And we are going to be talking about a Mobius Cast On, and I don't know if you've heard about that before, but it's a pretty cool technique developed by Kat Bordy, and she has done a wonderful job with this, and it's really worth mentioning that she has some information on her website as well if you would like to delve into it a little bit deeper and get different patterns. She has plenty of patterns there, as well as we have a few patterns that are on our website, and this one is from Skacel, and this one's called the Shoreline Mobius Cowl. And I've done this one before, but the one I'm wearing is just really super simple for your beginning Mobius knitters. It is just knit 4 rounds and then purl 4 rounds. So when we're talking about the Mobius Cast On, what we're talking about is a cast on that is cast on in the center, and then it grows on both edges. Okay, so it grows like that. So this little strip right here would be cast on right in here, and then it would be growing out sideways on both edges. And what the Mobius Cast On does is it gives you a twist in your work, that you're actually knitting it while it's twisted, which is really unique. Sometimes people will say they've made Mobius cowls and what they're doing is knitting it flat, and then they do a twist before they do it, they Kitchener it together or something like this. This is a true Mobius scarf, and it's done with this technique, and you know how I love learning techniques. So anyways, the one that I'm wearing is just super simple, knit 4 rows, purl 4 rows until I ran out of yarn. And I'm using this lovely Sueno worsted in the tonal weight, and this is a new yarn for us, and it's the 80-20 bamboo blend. And you know that I have been using this Sueno, which is the DK weight, and I've used it for so many projects and I loved it so much that I thought I would try and bring in the worsted weight of Sueno in the tonal, and it is really nice. I like it. Hey, super soft.
So a bunch of people jumping online. You got, they all went by, but Kay and Angela and Debbie and Susan.
Good morning, everyone. It's
Mary.
Nice to have all of you here. Also, last week we did our prize was for Sueno, and I had you help me pick out the colorways. So last week you all chose this tone.
That got the most
kind
votes.
Of the mauve, yes, and so it had the majority, quite a few votes. So the winner can choose this colorway, or they could stick with the neutral tones, whichever works for them. They can let us know. And so that was for last week's prize. And for this week, we get to choose one of these 2 colorways, one in kind of a lighter blue and one in a darker blue. And this is wonderful yarn that is very sturdy. I have put this cowl in the washer and dryer, and it washes up beautifully. It's a super wash yarn, and wears seems to be holding up really well with no fuzzing or pilling or anything funny.
So Wendy says it's snowing where she is.
Oh, Wendy, we have a storm alert here, and it is snowing just very lightly outside, but they said we could get maybe up to 5 inches. We'll see. I don't know if it'll be 5 inches, but we do have some snow, and we are out in the hot tub this morning, and it's so beautiful. I love this snow, how softly falling, and it's just really pretty. Anyways, okay, so we are back to talking about our Mobius and how to do the Mobius cast on.
There's a question.
Yes,
they
sure.
said, what's the pattern name? So I'm not sure. Oh, the one you're wearing, I guess.
We are going to be, this pattern, we're going to be doing it in our blog, and we will give that to you. It's basically cast on 60 or 80 stitches, and then you would go ahead and knit 4 rounds and then purl 4 rounds. Knit 4 rounds, purl 4 rounds until you run out of yarn. Now mine has a lot more stitches on it, and I don't recommend, because it was long, I couldn't make it very wide. So that brings me to another thing. When you're casting on with your Mobius scarf, make sure that you use stitch markers, because it's very difficult to count those stitches. So I will get right into this, and then we'll come back and talk about what we're going to be working on next week, which is an Andrea Mowry pattern. All right?
Yep.
Sure. Go ahead.
Oh, just that if you can mention that they were going to put the pattern on the site, this one.
Yes. So this simple pattern for a beginning Mobius knitter, I highly recommend it. In the beginning, you know how I don't like to have too many skills at once. And so just having 4 rounds of knit and 4 rounds of purl will be enough, because you're learning the cast on and learning how to use this technique to knit with. And also it bears, I should mention that when you cast on using this technique, you should use at least a 40 to a 47-inch cord. I think a 47-inch cord is about as short as you want to go. You could even go 60 inches, but 47 is pretty darn ideal. And I have Chow-Goo needles here, right? And I have, it's a 47-inch cord, so I'm going to show you how to do this. Now this project right here is one where I've already cast on, and I'm looking for my working yarn, which is coming off that stitch. And I have cast on in increments of 25 stitches, so 25, 25, and 25. And I'm working my way around the first 25. And if you see right here how they kind of get jumbled up together, you want to push them up 1 stitch at a time. But let me show you how we cast on first, and then I'll show you how you knit this, because it's a little different than traditional knitting, especially to start with, okay? So I have, first of all, I am going to go ahead and start with a slip knot. So we're going to use a slip knot. So I put my slip knot on my needle, right? And then I want to snug it up, but not too snug, you know. We have to knit with that. And then we push it all the way over to the right. And then look at my left hand, Jim. So I'm going to make a turn counterclockwise, holding that left hand needle. Do you see that? Let me do that again. Here it is straight, and I'm going to make a opposite the clock turn. And then I'm going to hold that needle there. Okay, then I'm going to grab my working yarn, and here it is, it's set up. So I have my working yarn in the back, the cord in the center, and the needle in the front. And I am going to dip underneath my cord, go over the top of my working yarn and grab it, and bring it out from underneath my cord, and then yarn over front to back. That is considered 1 stitch. Then I'm going to go down, grab 2. So each time it looks like 2 stitches, but those are just counted as 1. Okay? So I have 2 cast on. 3, 4, 5, 6, and you would just continue on going around and around, and I would highly recommend that every 25 or 20 or 10, I don't care how many you want to put before you do use a stitch marker, but do use a stitch marker. Okay, and that's how you cast on for the Mobius Cast On. And then, so it looks like that. Okay, and here's what it looks like when you're knitting with it. And also when you first cast on, you need to make sure that your cord is laying flat, and you only want 1 twist going over the top. Now it's kind of easy to make it 2 twists, and then you would have a double twist in your project, and it doesn't look great. You would have to redo it. So laying it flat on the table before you begin knitting and evening everything out so you only have 1 twist over the top of the cord is very important. You need to do that before you start knitting. Now let me show you. Here I've already started knitting, but I take each stitch and I open it up so you can see the TP there, and you dive right into the TP and knit it. Sometimes it looks like you're knitting in the front loop, and sometimes it looks like you're knitting in the back loop. No worries. Just put your needle straight into that TP and knit it, and straight into the next one and knit it, and so on and so forth. And you're every time scooching 1 stitch up at a time. If you try and scoot too many up at once, you may knit these out of order, and that doesn't make it look good either. Also, you may find that sometimes you might see something that looks like that. It's you've accidentally dropped the stitch off before you knit it. So just pick it up, put it back on your needle so this front leg is in the front, and then continue knitting in your V's, and you'll be good to go. And that's all you do. Another thing to remember when you're knitting, you'll be knitting all on this top cord, and then you're going to be doing another round till you get to the stitch markers. So it's very important to identify the beginning of the round, because if you don't put a stitch marker on there, you'll never know when you've done one round, and you can easily get that mixed up. So when you're doing your first Mobius and you're identifying every 25 stitches, you see how I have mine so that they're all white. Well, a lot of times I would like to use a different color to identify the beginning of the round, and then the other ones would identify the 25 stitches. But you can take these off on the first round. But it is important to note that it is very important to use stitch markers with this technique. But it's super, super fun, and you can make really cute gifts. I've had friends that have used chunky alpaca, just one skein, and made a whole bunch of gifts really quickly and really cute. And with that natural twist in it, when you put it around your neck, it just gives it a more refined look. You're not fiddling with your scarf trying to make it look right. It just naturally looks right. So it's kind of
Can you
cool.
hold that up so they can see it? Yours?
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah. See? And I did an Icelandic bind off on mine, and we have a video of that I'll post. And it's just a really fun project, and I put this on extra large. I think I put it on number 15 needles, and just to kind of make it more airy, and I don't know, I just thought it was cute. You know how I am, I always like chain stuff, so that's pretty cool. And so now what are we going to be talking about? Oh, so we have this sueno.
Ask them about the
This
colors
was
they
last
look.
week. Oh, you guys, can you do me a favor and post? Which one do you think that we should choose for the prize for this week? You choose either the lighter blue or the darker blue. And let me know, and we'll choose that for our winner for this week. And you guys, you remember how to enter to win, that you post comments in the comment section. You let us know what you're working on, share with your buddies, and push that like button for us. That's fantastic. And let us know where you're from, maybe what you're knitting. You know how much I love looking at all of your projects. There's some very talented knitters, and I love learning from you. So you post what you're working on, and maybe even pictures are great. Don't forget to post your patterns, because we all get excited about your projects, and we need to know what the name of the pattern is so that we can make it too. And it's so awesome. Also, if you haven't familiarized yourself with our VIP group, we have a fantastic group of knitters, and it's free to join, and it's a great resource for you to learn and get ideas. Maybe you're working on a project and you get stuck and you need a little help. Well, our VIP members are fantastic at offering help and, you know, any advice and maybe just, you know, encouragement for you as you're working on your projects. It's wonderful. It's a great way to learn, and there's some fantastic people there. And so that's awesome. And also this next week, we are going to be working on this project called the Night Shift. And these patterns are wonderful. They're a paper copy. It's almost, I mean, the pictures in it are absolutely beautiful. And she does a great job of making her instructions very clear. This is an Andrea Mowry pattern, of course. And also on the back on some of her patterns, they have a code that you can use, and then you can put that in your Ravelry. You can add it to your queue. So having this paper copy is, well, it's just beautiful. She does a great job. And so that's what I'm going to be doing with that. And it's using mosaic knitting. So Jim, can you zoom in on this mosaic knitting? And also, I'm also going to be talking about, now this pattern calls for this lovely yarn called Spin Cycle yarn, Dream State. And the yarn is like $32 a skein, and they actually sell the kits for $180. And so I'm going to be talking about ideas of how we can make this project, make it look as close as we can to this, and have it be something that's maybe super economical, or, you know, much more economical than this project if you buy it as a kit. Yeah, I love shawls, but buying something for $180 is super expensive. And anyway, I like stuff that is economical, and so I'm sitting here messing around and just doing a little swatch here. I started 28 rows on here, and this yarn is called Stark 6, and it's supposed to be a DK weight, but it's knitting up very light. And then of course Kenzie is a worsted weight. So I'm trying to figure out what to do with that. I kind of like the long color changes of this Stark 6, and but it's a little bit light, so we'll see what I'm gonna end up doing with that. But
they want to know what Stark 6 is.
Stark 6 is made by Zauberball, and it is supposed to be a thicker weight of your Zauberball or Zauberball Crazy. And this is like a $31 price point, and I'm testing it to see if it's yarn that we want to bring in. I really like Zauberball, but this, to me, it almost feels like it should be a little thicker. So I'm still working on it. I haven't decided completely, but you know how I test all the yarns before I bring them in. I want to make sure if they say they're a DK weight, I want them to be, you know, comparable to other DK weights that we carry. And so I'm looking at that, and then I do love the long color changes. And of course I have knit several projects out of this wonderful Kenzie, and this is a Cassell product too, and it's merino and nylon, angora, alpaca, and silk. And it has almost like a tweed effect to it, and it has a wonderful halo when you wash it up. And so it's a beautiful yarn. And so this is the yarn that I'm thinking about using for this actual night shift pattern. So you'll get to see most of the finished product next week, and I'll be knitting like crazy. So all of you out there that are going to be knitting this week, if you want to post your projects on the VIP group, or you can post them wherever, here, anywhere. We just love seeing your projects, and we love encouraging each other and helping each other learn. But this Mobius Cast On is really fun. It's almost like eating potato chips. It's addictive, and it's a great gift idea for a super quick gift. And we'll post that on our website, the little pattern to it, so that you can actually make your own and try it. And I've already done the video, so that if you need to refer to a YouTube video, that video will be posted soon. I did it yesterday, and I think Jim's going to be editing it today. So anyway, so let's take a look and see. Oh, last week's winner was Chris Hicks. And Chris, you won this lovely Sueno. And maybe you'll decide that you want to do the rutabaga hat that we did. But this is enough yarn to be able to do it. And so that is totally awesome. And that hat pattern was one that we talked about last week, and it's doing brioche. And we have the pattern for sale on Alpaca Direct. And so here's the yarn to make that project if you wanted to. So anyway, it's beautiful yarn. I love Sueno. What I love about this yarn, there's a lot of things that I love about this yarn, but this yarn has a nice twist on it, and at first look, you might think that it's plied a little too tightly, but I'll tell you what this yarn does. When you block it, it softens right up, and that tight twist allows the yarn to be sturdy. And so it's a fantastic yarn. I've used it for so many projects, and I've thrown it the dryer. I'm making my building blocks blanket out of this yarn. And I'm kind of sort of stuck on this yarn lately. It seems like every project seems to be perfect for this yarn.
There's a question, how is it different, the worsted versus the DK?
That is a great question. I'm working with both of these. So far I have found that this worsted weight is, it says from a, the needle size is from a 6 to a 9. And I would even go a couple sizes up. You could go a 9 or a 10. Now I knit a little bit tight, but they are, it's a thicker weight of the same thing. But what you don't want to do with this yarn is well, on this Sueno, it says that you can go down to a number 3. I found that maybe a number 4 to an 8. 8 is a little bit big, but anyways, maybe a 4 to a 7, this DK weight works great. And then for the Sueno worsted, you could easily go up to a number 10. So it's almost like a thick worsted. And so it's a fantastic, I mean, I might almost even use it for a chunky weight pattern. It's so, it's works so well on a bunch of on the larger needles. So it's the same exact blend, and it has a really nice, tight, sturdy twist, and it's going to have some halo to it, but it's sturdy because of the twist on it. So this Sueno worsted, and it's in a tonal. It has a tonal shape, where this one is solid colors. This one is not. We picked up the tonal in that one. So beautiful yarn. They're both lovely. And I'm looking forward to, I want to try the worsted weight Sueno and do it in a blanket. And so I have a couple ideas for some projects that I'm going to be doing with that. So I'll show you them as I'm knitting along. But this next week I'm going to be working on the night shift. And I'm also working on my building blocks. And I'm also working on building in color. So there is never an end to our knitting projects. But that's totally cool. Also, I wanted to mention with Michelle Hunter, I thought her knit along, it's called Channing Road. What it is a pillow cover, and it's using this wonderful yarn, Kenzie. It's using this yarn, and I believe it has some cables in it. And so the Michelle Hunters, if you've never participated in a Michelle Hunter knit along, they're free to the public, and it is a great way to learn because she gives you YouTube videos. She was an instructor for over 30 years, a teacher of teachers, and then she learned how to knit. So she is a fantastic teacher. She has taught me many, many things. So I would highly encourage, if you can or you would like to enjoy her knit alongs because they're fantastic. And they're free, of course, so anything that you can learn that's free is fantastic.
When does it start?
And that starts on, I thought it was March 4th, but it is actually April 4th. I wrote it down wrong. I thought, oh no, I missed it, but no, I haven't missed it. It's April 4th. So we still have plenty of time, and we do sell Kenzie on our website, so if you wanted to participate in that, that's fantastic. So anyway, that's, I think that was all about that. And let's see here. So, summarizing, making Mobius cowls are great fun. And Kat Bordy did a great job coming up with this. I don't know how she comes up with stuff so original like this, but it's so fantastic. And the Mobius Cast On is super simple. And we are going to have a YouTube video on that, so you can watch it and learn how to do it. And just doing 4 rows of knit and 4 rows of purl is great. It makes a great little scarf, and you can use it for gifts. So you enjoy your next week, and next week we're going to be talking about the night shift, and it's mosaic knitting again. So I'm sure after that I'll probably come up with something else to talk about. But you guys have a great week, and be safe out there because I know it is snowing, in the weather's still cold and it's slippery on the roads. And I will talk to you next Tuesday. So you take care.